Hello, everyone, from the Matt Morris Digital Studio here in Fresno. This is the Beem and Dean Show, episode 56, with the voice of the FCC Rams and our sports director here at the station, Scott Bemis. I'm Dean Shiro. The reason why I wanted to bring FCC up is because we have some breaking news at this hour. Scotty, fill us in.
Yeah, longtime Fresno City head football coach Tony Caviglia is going to be retiring at the end of the season. Coach sharing that news with me today when we tape the Fresno City Football Report, which will air Tuesday night. He's going to coach out the rest of the season, but this is going to be it. That's season number 26 for him at Fresno City, and so. Let's hope the Rams can kind of turn things on here in the second half of their season and maybe send Coach Caviglia out with a championship of some sort, either a conference title or maybe even a state title. Yeah,
but let's just go over his career for a second. I mean, the man is so accomplished. I mean, in the junior college level, he's very, very highly sought out, valued. He's put a lot of guys, not just in college, but in the league, So, I've talked to a lot of his players, too, through the years, and they love playing for him. And he's also been a real good conduit for them getting to that next level. So I'll let you kind of chime in.
Yeah. Obviously we see Fresno City players going on to play at Fresno State, but they also go on to other places all over the country. Some Division I programs, but also Division II, even Division III here and there. And so he's probably sent hundreds of players on to the next level, and a handful of them have also made it to the NFL, one of them being Cameron Worrell, the former Bulldog safety. I talked to Cam last night, who was on Bulldog Insider, and we both knew about Coach C, that he was going to make this announcement, and he told me that his 1 year at Fresno City was the most important year of his adult life, because I'd heard Cam had kind of hinted at it at the past, but Cam told me that he basically flunked out of Fresno State. He went to Fresno State initially out of high school, out of Chowchilla, but then flunked out. But Fresno City was that landing spot for him. But he said when he got there was no coddling, from Coach C. I mean, he basically treated him like a man and said, here's what you got to do. This is how you're going to, not only be a good football player, but this is how you're going to be a productive member of society by doing things, by paying attention to the details, by treating people the right way. And we see what's happened with Cam Worrell. Not only, make it to the NFL, but now, a great broadcaster, a regular guest on our show, Bulldog Insider, and just become one of the voices of football here in the Central Valley. Yeah,
it's just really, like I said, for Coach C, though, honestly, congratulations. And hopefully they can make a run here at the end of the year. And my man here is going to be calling the game. So hopefully it gives him something exciting to talk about. Let's talk about that game on Saturday night at Valley Children's. It's a rivalry game. I should have known better. I should have known that, that Nevada was going to make it tough. That 13.5 number was a little too big. But, there was a lot of concerning things about Fresno State on Saturday night. I think most importantly is E.J. Warner. I mean, can he move the club, in the second half, they did have that drive at the end, where they ran the clock out and were able to run the ball. But a lot of that was because of Brandon Ramirez, the San Joaquin Memorial product, who I think needs to see the field more, personally. Out of the four running backs, in my opinion, he is the most physical and plays the kind of style that Matt Enns wants to play. I'll let you comment on it, Scott.
Well, first off, were you on the sideline?
I
heard you had a parabola in your hand.
I was right there in the heat of battle. I was working for CBS Sports Network.
Wait, which sideline were you on?
I was on I was at the 20-yard line on the north side.
Okay. On the Fresno State side?
On the Fresno State side. Okay. So I was standing next to all the injured players behind me, and then the team chaplain, who I became friends with, and we were praying together, the two of us, for a Fresno State victory, which, thank God, did happen.
Fortunately, I didn't see any Dean get taken out on any replays up on the video board.
No, thank God I was smart enough to jump. Yes.
Well, I was meant to come by and say hi at some point. I thought I'd see you when I went in that area, but somehow I missed you.
You missed me
on Saturday.
But it got a little nervous down there, I'll just say.
Oh, no. Go ahead. Well, yeah, it was kind of a weird game. I think the crowd kind of got lulled to sleep. I think both teams just were kind of flat in that second half because Fresno State went into the locker room with that 20-3 lead, and there just wasn't a lot of energy in the building at that point, from the crowd.
Well, Nevada brought that quarterback in, Jones, and he sparked them, though. He really led those two touchdown drives.
So I think Fresno State, unfortunately, kind of got lulled into a false sense of security there, and they stop moving the ball offensively, like you're talking about, which we saw happen last year at times when they had leads in the second half. I think it was 4 straight 3-and-outs at one point.
Yes.
And if you do that against a Mountain West team, even if it's one that's struggling a little bit like Nevada, they're going to get back in the football game eventually. I mean, eventually they're going to pop something.
Yep.
And they did. They popped a couple drives on the Bulldogs, and they got back within a field goal. And at one point, they had the ball in the fourth quarter, down 3 with an opportunity to take the lead, which is kind of crazy to think about, considering Fresno State had 4 turnovers in the first half, or got 4 turnovers in the first half.
And survived a lot of them. One was a missed field goal and a turnover on downs at one point. So, I mean, just talk a little bit about E.J. Warner. I'm not trying to pick on him specifically, but he is the quarterback of the offense. This is game, 6 or 5 for them. So what are your thoughts on E.J.?
Well, I think we heard it, an honest Matt Entz after the game. He came into the press conference and he wasn't, jumping for joy over this win. He said, we're going to celebrate the wins. It's hard to win in college football. But yes, we did not play that great. And I'm not sure why the running game kind of disappeared and then reemerged, in the fourth quarter late. And he didn't really comment too much on E.J. Warner's performance in the sense of it wasn't knocking it one way or the other. I mean, if you look at the stats, it looked okay. He was still 18 to 26, so he was, pretty efficient. And in the end, he led them on a drive in the fourth quarter to clinch the game. But yes, if Fresno State is gonna win a big game, when I say a big game, a game maybe coming up here against San Diego State in a couple weeks, who looks to be a lot better than any of us anticipated.
San Jose State now too, right, Scotty?
San Jose State may be kind of coming up too. That's who the Dogs close with in San Jose. And then of course you got that game at Boise in early November hanging out there. And so if Fresno State's going to go in and win on the road at Boise, you would think that the offense is going to have to play better than this. And I think what happens is with the type of style that they're running, very much a pro style, very much drop back passes with E.J. Warner, his effectiveness, I think, is going to work off of the running game.
Yeah.
So if they establish the run, then it's going to open up play action opportunities for E.J. I don't think this Fresno State team is ever going to be a team that's going to be throwing the ball deep down the field on a consistent basis. It doesn't feel like they have a receiver who can kind of blow the doors off the defense.
Yeah.
Got some solid receivers. Josiah Freeman kind of emerging on Saturday, which was great to see.
He had that great touchdown pass on the south side.
Josiah caught 2 TDs.
Yep.
I mean, he's a solid receiver, but what I'm saying is it just doesn't feel like they have that burner, who can really scare a defense. And then I don't know if they have the pass protection that's needed against a team like Nevada, who had that was the strength of their team, was the defensive line, to set up long balls like that. And so really it's going to be more of a ball control, work the short passing game. We saw it on the last drive when he was working it to the tight ends and this and that. But there's not a huge margin for error with Fresno State because they're not getting a ton of explosive plays.
Yeah.
Really the only explosive play they got was in the run game, from Luke in the first half. And so, yes, I've said this from the beginning. I think E.J. Warner gives you a good, solid base, right? He's going to keep you in every single game. And he's actually made some plays late that have been impressive this year to really win a couple games for Fresno State. But I don't think he's going to give you the spectacular at any point. And I don't think they have the weapons to do that. So they're going to have to win with the running game and defense.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to run the ball better than they did on Saturday, Dean.
Absolutely. I want to shout out 2 guys in particular I thought that really struck me, being close out there. Richie Anderson was great. He saved them getting those first downs. And obviously Thunderbird, he had the pick, and he's all over the place. I mean, honestly, he's exactly what you want, from that linebacker position. So
that defense is really emerging.
Really?
It feels like, whenever they get scored on now, you're a little bit surprised.
Yeah. So now they head up to Fort Collins, Colorado this weekend. Actually, that's on Friday night, right? It's a Friday
night
game.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that on Thursday. So with that being said, let's come in hot. All right, Scotty, we got 2 topics today for coming in hot. They're both football related. We'll start with yours first. We're both chime in on this one, but if anyone saw the Cardinals game yesterday against the Titans, Amari DeMarcado going in for the game-winning touchdown against Tennessee. They're up 21-6 in the fourth quarter. Fumbles the ball, lets the ball go, however you want to call it. The ball goes out of the end zone. We've seen this before for a touchback. We didn't know at this point that it was going to cost them the game, but they ended up losing the game 22-21 and blew out a bunch of survivor pools, which we'll talk about later. Scotty, the floor is yours.
Dean, this is an epidemic. What is going on? Why does this keep happening over and over and over again? Because you hear coaches all the time, or I've heard people say this at least. I haven't talked to any coaches. I'd be interested to talk to Coach Matt Entz about this and say, hey, do you use this as a teaching tool? Do you bring this up at any point, like during the offseason or in preparation for the season, that let's carry the ball all the way into the end zone, let's hang on to it until we hit the back of the end zone, or let's hang on to it until we hand the ball to the referee?
Number 3, by the way. Hold the ball all the way until you hand the ball to the referee.
But I just can't believe we're still talking about this and that this is happening as much as it is. I mean, this happens multiple times every football season. And sometimes it happens to players, not just the DeMarcados of the world,
right,
but Jonathan Taylor. Remember when Jonathan Taylor did
it?
As well? I mean, so is it really that hard? I just don't understand. What's the point of dropping the football at any point in the end zone?
Yeah, I don't understand the logic of it, Scotty, because if anything, it jeopardizes your chance to get the touchdown. Why not just hold the ball all the way through?
I mean,
that's all I'm going to say about it.
The only thing I could think of is that they're already thinking about their celebration, right? And so that, they're because you could tell, because DeMarcado was getting caught from behind, and he was fortunate that the DB didn't punch that thing out of there.
He almost did.
Yeah, he was catching him, and the Cardinals running back was slowing down, as he went towards the goal. That's the other thing. Do not slow down until you hit that goal line. I don't know what else to say, Dean. It's just, I watch this and my head just kind of drops and goes, I'm not going to be surprised if, he gets cut, for something like this. I mean, I don't want anybody to lose their job, right, but come on now.
He's kind of fortunate because the Cardinals running back room is in really bad shape, but he's a good player. He played at TCU. He had a good career there, but he's got to be smarter. He admitted after the game he's got to be smarter, but the fact that play turned out to be the precursor of them losing the game, and I don't know if you saw how they lost the game, then they get an interception from a defensive back who ends up fumbling the ball into the end zone for a touchdown. So the Cardinals defensive back intercepts the ball at the 4-yard line, starts to make his move and loses it. And then another Cardinals guy who came to grab the ball plunged on it and it goes shooting in the end zone and a Titans wide receiver lands on it, touchdown. Now all of a sudden you got a 21-19 game. Then the Cardinals get the ball back again, can't move it. And then Cam Ward with a great drive, they kick the field goal at the buzzer to win 22-21.
This is why I say it is really difficult betting on the NFL.
Yeah.
It's for this reason.
Yeah.
I mean, games like this happen all the time in the NFL, where it feels like one team is just in complete control of the game, and then weird stuff happens.
Right.
And even if the other team doesn't win the game, sometimes they cover, where they really had no business doing that. It's amazing. And I heard a recap, like you were saying this morning, of all the things that the Cardinals did, and I think, didn't Kyler Murray say this was how to lose a game 101, basically? He
sure did. Yeah, he sure did.
I mean, those losses are going to come back to haunt you.
Yeah.
If you're the Cardinals, right? I mean, down the road when they need a win to get in as a wild card later in the year or maybe in that division race, I mean, they're just going to be kicking themselves over this.
Yeah, and then on a betting front, like I said, really quick, at least 36% of the general public had the Cardinals in a survivor pool, including yours truly, who now is eliminated. But just a side note on that. I'm going to get into mine really quick because we're kind of hitting time. But Fox broadcaster Mark Sanchez is being charged with level 5 battery after an incident on early Saturday morning in Indianapolis. He's there to call the Indianapolis Colts game, and somehow, according to authorities, he was intoxicated and somehow got into a altercation with a 69-year-old man who stabbed him twice. The more details are still coming out, and obviously Sanchez is innocent until proven guilty. But what are you doing? I'm just going to say WTF ? Because what are you doing 36 hours before you're supposed to be broadcasting a game? You're out here on the streets of Indy causing all this havoc. And I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks for turning that one over to me. I appreciate it. I mean, what do you say about something like this? I don't know. It's sometimes in these situations, I still want to wait for a few more details and things to come out, know the full story of what's going on here before really commenting on it too much. But yeah, poor choices, right? Poor choice by Mark Sanchez, and it's going to come back to haunt him more than likely. I'm a fan of Mark Sanchez from his days at USC, but I don't really have any explanation for what went down here. It sounds like a truck driver felt like he was being threatened by Sanchez, and they got into a little bit of a verbal tiff that escalated, and then things got a little weird and a little out of control. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on this?
I guess just my main thing is, like I said, my main question again is 36 hours before you're supposed to be, calling a game as one of the voices of Fox Sports NFL. What are you doing out at that time of night? By yourself? I just don't understand it. I mean, again, bad choices. He's not a child. He's a full adult. And I just don't know what else to say. I just wanted to bring it up.
Well, it's fine to go. If you want to go out, that's totally fine. But yeah, this is. You've got to be able to understand your limits or whatever happened. Carry yourself like a professional. Mark Sanchez is a high-profile guy at this point. I will say this: anybody who's been on the road with any broadcast crew, I've had the opportunity to do it a little bit. They're sports fans, right? Or they're former athletes in general, and there is some fun that's had, even the night before a game, right? It's not like they're necessarily players who aren't going out the night before a game. They can go out, socialize, have a good time, but yeah, you got to do it in moderation, and you got to control yourself. When it first broke, right, we were all like wondering, is Mark Sanchez okay?
Right.
What happened here? Because it just said on the ticker, it just said he'd been stabbed.
That's
and so you're going, oh man, what happened? I hope he's okay and everything else.
Praying for him and his family, which still am, but
yeah.
You sign clauses though when you do, when you have these big contracts with organizations like Fox and CBS. So I'm sure that there's something in the, there's probably a clause that might hurt his future employment. But more details will come out. But again, I'm just asking just the WTF question, like what is he doing out at that time? So let's just get into a couple of the storylines from college football really quick, just scanning the surface. Miami gets the big win at Florida State. Penn State falls flat on its face at the Rose Bowl. Boise, gets handled by Notre Dame, and then Texas loses to Florida. So just give us a real quick recap, Scotty. I know you got to watch some of the action before you covered the Fresno State game.
I watched a lot of that Penn State game just because we were all rooting for Tim Skipper, I think. Even as a Trojan over here, I was rooting for the Bruins on Saturday. And what a job that coaching staff did in rallying UCLA. I don't know if they'll be able to maintain it at that level, but for them to kind of unleash Nico as well, the new offensive coordinator there, Jerry Neuheisel.
I think that's the big question though, is where has Nico's legs been weeks 1 through 5? Because he ran the ball all over, and they never had a spy on him or anything. I don't understand why James Franklin didn't try to spy him more, because he was the weapon.
I agree with you. We were texting about that. The defensive game plan did not look very sound. Nico didn't look to me like he had a spy on most of those runs. Franklin kind of indicated afterwards. He hinted that they did have a spy on him a couple times, and then he just made the spy miss. I wasn't seeing it. Boy, it's going to be a tough week for James Franklin. Just add another, tough loss, disappointing loss to his resume. Coming off that loss at Oregon, where already I'm sure Penn State Nation is saying, hey, this guy just can't win the big one, and now they go to UCLA and they have a rough afternoon like this. You never know though. Here's what I'll say. We saw it last year, right, with Ohio State in this new era of the college football playoff and everything else. You can bounce back from devastating losses. It no longer is the death knell for your season. This one's going to be a little harder to overcome for sure. But, Penn State isn't completely done, I guess, is the way to put it. But a couple more losses like this, and it's going to get harder and harder for Franklin to keep retaining that job.
Yeah, I think the main lesson learned here is you just can't take anyone lightly. It doesn't matter whether you're playing UCLA or if you're playing Oregon. You've got to come in and play 4 quarters of football. You can't just turn it on at the half and expect to win, So shout out to, the Bruins. Jerry Neuheisel, did a great job with the play calls. They were very very innovative, I thought. Obviously he's got the pedigree with his dad. So
I think it also speaks to Penn State, kind of their style of play. How if they fall behind big,
they're in trouble.
It's a little more difficult for them to come back. I mean, they're a little more old school Big Ten, right? They're not Oregon, who can kind of throw it all over the yard, have a dynamic playmaker at quarterback. I mean, Drew Aller, he's very much kind of a statue in the pocket, although he did run the football pretty effectively. But Penn State's the type of team, if they fall behind big, it's going to be a little harder for them to overcome that than it would like an Oregon, or even maybe like a USC or somebody like that.
Someone who can throw the ball at will, absolutely. In the NFL, really quick, I mean, there's not a whole lot to say, but we did have some big losses over the weekend. We already talked about the Cardinals, but how about Philly and Buffalo, losing their undefeated marks, both of them at home. The Buffalo one was really, really bad last night. I felt like against New England, you were waiting for them just to turn it on, and they just couldn't get it done. Baltimore and the Raiders, God, dear Lord, both just those were horrible games, horrible outings. I know Baltimore didn't have Lamar Jackson, but that defense, though, was supposed to be so marquee and vaunted going into the year. They were a preseason favorite to win the Super Bowl, and now they're in big, big trouble. Huge win for the Buccaneers up in Seattle. And then the Chargers, after getting off to a red-hot start, lose at home to the Commanders. I'm not saying that's a bad loss in terms of Jaden Daniels. They got a great thing going there, but
it feels like every time
you can't lose at home though.
Every time you want to get on the Chargers bandwagon, and we were jumping on. Mm-hmm. We were jumping on, Dean, you and me, like 3 weeks in. And, then they lose to the Giants, and they lose at home to the Commanders. And, but how about where the Ravens and the Bengals are at this point? I mean, they can't stop anybody.
No, they can't. I got to give Cincinnati a little bit of credit for at least fighting back against Detroit in the second half. I mean, they were, Browning at least did fight back, and I think Jamar Chase had 2 touchdowns late, but yeah, it was too little. I think late.
But everybody's going to say, oh, they're missing Lamar. Hey, they're missing Burrow, this and that. I think there's some bigger issues there with both the Ravens and the Bengals. Sure, having those two guys would certainly help. Maybe they can outscore an opponent, get some wins. But things do not look good at all at either one of those places. I mean, if you can't stop people, like at the level that they're not stopping people, I mean, it's got to be super deflating for not only the defense, but for the offense to know that they're going to feel this pressure every single time they go out, even when Lamar comes back, that, gosh, I got to score on every possession here because I don't know if my defense can stop anybody. Now, having said that, they're missing everybody, right? I mean, I think they almost hired me off the street to play D for the Ravens.
You were close,
this past week. Yeah, it kind of looked like me off the street out there.
Stop it.
Let's move
Scott
on, Dean.
Beam is everybody.
Let's move on, Dean.
Anything else from the NFL really quick before we get into our money plays?
NFL, I think I mentioned on the show on Thursday that I was interested to watch that Patriot-Bill game to see if New England, was kind of a team that could maybe challenge Buffalo. Like, were they for real? I didn't know. I didn't know how good Drake May was, how good the whole roster was, but it's made things kind of interesting in the AFC East now. I mean, that second meeting now between Buffalo and New England could have some ramifications. And, Mike Vrabel doing an excellent job there in New England. Not really that big of a surprise.
No, not at all. Not at all. So, all right, let's get into our money plays. All right, Scotty, new month, new attitude. And with that being said, both of us are over the 1,000 mark threshold. Scotty went 2 for 3 this last week. Look at all that yellow. We love to see that. His balance is 1,035.20. The Florida State thing almost covered, just came up short. I think it was 6 or 7 point margin there.
That would have been a lucky beat if it happened.
It was because it was a beatdown. Yeah, but I mean the San Jose State call, nice call there. The Cincinnati call, oh my God, we were texting on Saturday.
Got off to a great start, then it got a little dicey there for a second.
I was singing the Beam's praises for sure. So go ahead, your recap and then...
Yeah, I got nothing for you today, Dean, unfortunately. I'm going to take a little, breather here on a Monday.
That's
kind
fine.
of reassess, stay above 1,000 at least for a few more days here.
That's right.
I think what I'm realizing, Dean, is that I should really stick mainly to my bread and butter of college football, right? Not that I'm going to be automatic in college football by any means, but I find that I feel better about my picks at least, whether they work out or not, but I feel better about my college football picks. I really haven't even had time to look at this weekend's card yet. Fine. So come Thursday, I'll have a few plays for you.
Playoff baseball?
Well, I did pick up a series bet. I maybe should have given it out on Twitter or something on the Brewers before game 1 of that series. So that's the only action I have on the playoffs right now. But yeah, gosh, I tell you, I feel like I'm letting you down right now with not more plays.
No, you're good. You're good. I mean, honestly, really quick, just recapping two big games tonight for the Dodgers and for the Jaguars both. But here's where I'm at, 1,072.23. The two WNBAs hit on Friday, and then I hit the Texas Tech straight out. I thought that was a pretty easy one myself. Houston is a good team, but you know their record, they were 4-0 going this game, but Texas Tech way outspends them. And then I got lucky on this parlay, the one you see number 8. Nebraska ended up winning by 11, so the half point there saved me. No problems from Louisiana Monroe there on that one. And then as you can see on the NFL, it just did not go well at all.
I believe Michigan State led that game 21-14.
They did. I felt, and then honestly, all of a sudden, Nebraska kept coming back, and I'm like, oh God, do not win by 2 touchdowns. Please let me at least get that. So, yeah, just some bad beats there. I mean, the Iowa State thing, I fought Scotty on it and lost. My player prop came up a half a short. I think it was 1 point short on one of those guys. And then, the NFL, obviously, we already talked about that. The Cardinals kind of hurt me there. And
what's the line on the Monday night game tonight? 3.5.
Jags plus 3.5 at home.
At home against the Chiefs.
Yes, with a good defense too. So we'll see.
What do you think there?
Man, I mean, I don't know. I didn't take a play on that. Actually, I did take a play on that game. Let's look at it. I did. I just looked at it. There's my list. Number 4. I took the Jaguars money line and over 45.5 points. A $20 bet for 79. I was getting almost 4-1. So
well, you know what's funny?
They have to win the game though.
With Dean, folks, at home. I mean, there's so many plays here. Take a screenshot of it or something, but. Generally speaking, he will lose, like as you see, he'll lose a majority of these, but because they're parlays, all he needs to do is hit one of them, and he's been hitting one of them pretty consistently. I mean, you've been over $1,000 pretty consonsistly in our contest.
Yeah, the last couple months, absolutely. Yeah. So I got to take a little bit of pride there. I'll just go over what I got really quick. I got a $20 MLB parlay tonight. Phillies getting a run and a half at home against the Dodgers, and the Brewers money line, and that's for positive money plus 192. Again, I hope the Dodgers win by a run, but you know the Phillies now down 1-0, having to come to LA. You don't want to fall behind 2-0. I just think there's a lot of pride there.
What's the pitching matchup tonight?
It's Snell versus Luzardo.
Ooh. Okay.
So 2 really good guys, and I have a player prop on that as well. So, and then the Cubs are in deep trouble against the Brewers, in my opinion. So we'll see there. And then I just took Phillies money line, Brewers money line straight as a number 2 there. Number 3 is the prop that I was talking about with Scotty, where it's Blake Snell over 7 strikeouts, 7+, Luzardo 6+, and then Trey Turner and Mookie Betts each just getting a hit. And so for that one was 4-1, not bad. So, and then WNBA. So the Aces are up 2-0 on the Mercury. Mercury now heading home for 2. So on number 5 there, I've got a $20 NBA parlay Mercury money line to win out. And then the Mercury Aces over, I forgot the number. I didn't put it down there. It was like 165.5. I typoed it. But for 2-1, they've been easily hitting over that 165 number. And you think like that's a big number for the WNBA because you're only playing 10-minute quarters. But these guys have been putting 80 points up each easily. So we'll see there. And then I've got a player prop there with Asia Wilson, Alyssa Thomas, Chelsea Gray, Jackie Young, and Kalia Copper. So the Mercury really need to win Game 3 or else that series is probably in deep, deep distress. So, Scotty, any last thoughts before we go?
Well, I'm with you. It feels like those numbers are high in the WNBA with the Aces especially. I know in the last round, I thought, maybe I think it was a Game 5, right, of that series against, I can't remember, it's escaping me.
Indiana Fever?
Against the Fever. Yeah. And I thought, hey, Game 5, maybe things will tighten up a little bit. Maybe it's time to play the under. Right. But, things did not slow down at all.
Not at all.
They're playing up tempo.
My man Scott's going to have plays for you, though, on Thursday. I'll make sure of it. We'll be back on Thursday. We'll have our college and NFL. On behalf of my man Scotty Bemis, I'm Dean Shiro. This has been the Beem and Dean Show.